Hey everybody, it's your Absol here. Today, I'm gonna start something new. Katawa Shoujo. There will be times where I'll need to censor things, or just completely not show them. I hope you guys don't mind. Now, let us start. A light breeze causes the naked branches overhead to rattle like wooden wind chimes. This is a popular retreat for the couples in the summer. The deciduous trees produce a beautiful green canopy, far out of sight of teachers and fellow students. But now, in late winter, it feels like I'm standing under a pile of kindling. I breathe into my cupped hands and rub them together furiously to prevent them from being numbing in this cold. How long am I expected to wait out here anyway? I'm sure the note said 4 p.m. Ah yes, the note. Slit between the pages of my math book while I wasn't looking. As far as clichés go, I'm more of a fan of the letter in the locker, but at least this way shows a bit of initiative. As I ponder the meaning of the note, the snow gradually thickens. The snowflakes silently falling from this white-painted sky, the only signs of time passing in this stagnant world. The slow descent upon the frozen forest makes it seem like time has slowed to a crawl. The rustling of dry snow underfoot startles me, interrupting the quiet mood. Someone is approaching me from behind. Is this Sao? You came? A hesitating, barely audible question. However, I recognize the owner of that dainty voice instantly. I feel my heart skip a beat. It's a voice I've listened to hundreds of times, but never more as an eavesdropper to a conversation. I turn to face this voice, the voice of my dreams, and my heart begins to race. Aniko? I got a note telling me to wait here. It was yours? Damn it. I spent all my afternoon trying to come up with a good line and this was the result. Pathetic. Yeah, I asked a friend to give you that note. I'm so glad you got it. A shy, joyous smile that makes me so tense I couldn't move a single muscle even if I tried. My heart is pounding now, as if it was trying to burst out of my chest and claim this girl for itself. So, here we are, out in the cold. Once again, the wind stirs up the branches. The cacophonous noise is music to my ears. Aniko flinches ever so softly against a gust of the wind. As it passes, she rights herself, as if supported by some new confidence. Her eyes lock with mine and she lazily twirls her long dark hair around her finger. All the while, the anxious beating of my heart grows louder. My throat is tight. I doubt I can even force a word out if I tried. You see, I wanted to know if you'd go out with me. I stand there motionless, save my pounding heart. I want to say something in reply, but my vocal cords feel like they've been stretched beyond the breaking point. Sao? I reach up to try and massage my throat, but suddenly sends spikes of blinding pain along my arms. Sao! My whole body freezes, save for my eyes, which shoot open in terror. Sao! The beating of my heart suddenly stops, and I go weak at the knees. The world around me, the canopy of bare branches, the dull winter sky, and Wanako running towards me, all these fade to black. The last things I remember before slipping away, the sounds of Wanako screaming for help, and the incessant clatter of the branches above. Four-Leaf Studios presents Katawa Shoujo. Inspiration, writer. Writing Anonymous 22 or a Zebel Crook Psycho. Damn it, I missed it. Editing Kagami Losses Redundant Silent Cook. Music Blue 123 Nicole Amalfi. Art Gebi Terra Kamifish Pimi. Art Weki Rems and Ride. Additional art Climatic Doomfast Huge Jovich. UQV. FMV animation like you now. Directing Delta Rider UQV. Engineering Delta. Production Siebel Kurd Zurich. It's been 4 months since my heart attack. In that whole time, I can probably count the times I've left this hospital room unsupervised on one hand. 4 months is a pretty long time when you're left alone with your thoughts, so I've had plenty of time to come to terms with my situation. Arrhythmia. A strange word, a foreign, alien one that you don't want to be in the same room with. A rare condition. It causes the heart to act erratically and occasionally beat way too fast. It can be fatal. Apparently, I've had it for a long time. They said it was a miracle I was able to go on so long without anything happening. Is it really a miracle? I guess it was supposed to make me feel better, more appreciative of my life. It really didn't do anything to cheer me up. My parents, I think, were hit harder by the news than I was. They practically had 2 hemorrhages apiece. I'd already had a full day by then to digest everything. To them it was all fresh. They were even willing to sell our house in order to pay for a cure. Of course, there isn't a cure. Because of the late discovery of this condition, I've had to stay at the hospital to recuperate from the treatments. When I was first admitted, it felt as if I was missed. For about a week, my room in the ward was full of flowers, balloons and cards. But the visitors soon dwindled and the get-well gifts began trickling down to nothing shortly after. I realised the only reason I got on so many cards and flowers was because sending me their sympathy had turned into a class project. Maybe some people were genuinely concerned, but I doubt it. Even in the beginning, I barely had any visitors. By the end of the first month, only my parents came by on a regular basis. Iwanaka was the last to stop visiting. After 6 weeks, I never saw her again. We never had that much to talk about when she visited anyway. We didn't touch the subject that was between us on that snowy day ever again. The hospital? It's not really a place I'd like to live in. The doctors and nurses feel so impersonal and faceless. I guess it's because they're in a hurry and they have a million other patients waiting for them, but it makes me feel uncomfortable. For the first month or so, I asked the head cardiologist every time I saw him for a rough estimate of when I'd be able to leave. He never answered anything in a straightforward way, but told me to wait and see if the treatment and surgeries had worked. So, I idly observed the scar the surgeries had left on my chest slowly change its appearance over time, thinking of it as some kind of omen. I still ask the head cardiologist about leaving, but my expectations are low enough now that I'm not disappointed anymore when I don't get a reply. The way he shuffles around the answer shows that there is at least some hope. At some point I stopped watching TV. I don't know why, I just did. Maybe it was the wrong kind of escapism for my situation. I started reading instead. There was a small library in the hospital, although it was more like a store for books. I began working my way through it, one small stack at a time. After consuming them, I would go back for more. I found that I liked reading. I think I even became a bit addicted. I started feeling naked without a book in my hands, but I loved the stories. That was what my life was like. The days became increasingly harder to distinguish from each other, differing only by the book that I was reading and the weather outside. It felt like time blurred into some kind of gooey mass. I was trapped inside, instead of moving within. A week could go by without me really noticing. Sometimes I paused in realization that I didn't know what day of the week it was. But other times, all the things that surrounded me would painfully crash into my consciousness through the barrier of nonchalance I had set up for myself. The pages of my book would start to feel sharp and burning hot, and the heaviness in my chest would become so hard to bear that I had to put the book aside and just lay down for a while, looking at the ceiling as if I was going to cry. That happened only rarely, and I couldn't even cry. Today the doctor comes in and gives me a smile. He seems excited, but not very. It's like he's trying to make an effort to be happy on my behalf. My parents are here. It's been a few days since I've last seen them. Both of them are even sort of dressed up. Is this supposed to be some kind of special occasion? It's not even a party. There is this ritual the head cardiologist has. He takes his time sorting his papers, and sets them aside as if to make a point of the pointlessness of what he just did. Then he casually sits down on the edge of the bed next to mine. He looks at me in my eyes in the moment.
Hello, Haseo. How are you today?
I don't answer him, but I smile a little back at him.
I do believe that you can go home. Your heart is stronger now. With some precautions, you should be fine. We have all your medication sorted out. I'll give your father the prescription.
The doctor hands a sheet of paper to my dad. His expression turns wooden as he reads it quickly. So many. I take it from his hand and take a look for myself, feeling numb. How am I supposed to react to this? The absurdly long list of medications staring back at me from the paper seems insurmountable. They all blend together in a sea of letters. This is insane. Side effects, adverse effects, contraindications, and dosages are all listed line after line with cold precision. I try to read them, but it's so futile. I can't understand any of it. Attempting to only makes me sicker. All this for the rest of my life, every day.
I'm afraid it's the best we can do at this point. However, new medications are always being developed, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that the list fades over the years.
Years? What kind of confidence booster is that? It felt better if he hadn't said anything at all.
Also, I've spoken with your parents, and we believe that it would be best if you don't return to your old school.
What? Please, calm down, Haseo. Listen to what the doctor has to say. Calm down? The way he says it tells me he knew full well that I wouldn't like it. Am I going to be homeschooled? Whatever my concern shows, it's ignored.
We all understand that your education is paramount. However, I don't think it's wise for you to be without supervision. At least, not until we're sure that your medication is suitable. So I've spoken to your parents about a transfer. It's a school called Yamaku Academy that specializes in dealing with disabled students.
Disabled? What? Am I?
It has a 24-hour nursing staff and it's only a few minutes from a highly regarded general hospital. The majority of students live on the campus. Think of it as a boarding school of sorts. I'm a terrible person. It's designed to give students a degree of independence while keeping help nearby.
Independence? It's a school for disabled? Bollocks. Bollocks! Independence. It's a school for disabled kids. Don't try to disguise that fact. If it was really that free, there wouldn't be a 24-hour nursing staff and you wouldn't make a hospital by being nearby a selling point.
Of course, that's only if you want to go, but your mother and I aren't really able to homeschool you. We went out there and had a look a couple of weeks back. I think you'd like it.
It looks like I don't really have a choice.
Compared to other heart problems, people with your condition tend to live long lives. You'll need a job one day, and this is a good opportunity to continue our education.
This is an opportunity. Don't call it an opportunity. Don't call it a goddamned opportunity.
Well, you should be excited at the chance to go back to school. I remember you wanted to return to school, and while it's not the same one, it's
a special school. That's an insult.
That's what I want to say. It's a step down. It's not what you think. All the students are pretty active in their own sort of way. It's geared towards students that can still get around and learn, but just need a little help in one way or another. Your father's right, and many of the graduates of the school have gone on to do amazing things. A person doesn't have to be held back by their disability. One of my colleagues in another hospital is a graduate.
I don't care. A person who doesn't have to be held back by their disability? That's what a disability is. I really hate that something so important was decided for me. But what can I do about it? A normal life is out of the question now. It's funny. I had always thought my life was actually kind of boring, but now I miss it. I want to protest. I want to blame this lack of reaction on shock or fatigue. I could easily yell out something now, something about how I can go back to school anyway, but no. I don't say anything. The fact is, I know it's now futile. I look around the room, feeling very tired of all this. The hospital, doctors, my condition, everything. I don't see anything that would make me feel any different. There really isn't a choice. I know this, but the thought of going to a disabled school? What are those even like? As much as I try to put a positive spin on this, it's very difficult. But let me try. A clean slate isn't a bad thing. That's all I can think of to get me through this. At least I still have something. Even if it is a special school, it's something. It's a fresh start. My life isn't over. It would be a mistake to just resign myself to thinking that. At the very least, I'll try to see what my new life will be like. Oh, my hand. Act 1. Life expectancy. The gate looked far too pompous for what it was. In fact, gates in general seem to do that, but this one especially so. Red bricks, black wrought iron and grey plaster assembled into a hall that didn't feel welcoming at all. I wonder if it looked like what a gate for a school should look like, but couldn't really decide. Probably no. Of course, I didn't want to get stuck on thinking about the gate for too long, so I ended it through with a brisk pace that felt surprisingly good. Moving forward feels good. So I walked towards the main building of Yamaku Academy with this brisk pace. I'm alone, as my parents are taking my stuff to the dorms and there's supposed to be someone waiting for me. The grounds are incredibly lush, filled with green. It doesn't feel like the kind of grounds a school would have, more like a park, with a clean walkway going past trees and the smell of fresh cut grass and other park-like things. Words like clean and hygienic pop into my mind. It makes me shudder. I shake them off. Stay open-minded now. It's your new life. You have to take it as it comes. That's what I tell myself. A few big buildings zoom behind leafy canopies, too big and too many for just a school. Everything seems off. It's different from what I thought I knew about schools. It's an uncanny valley. Even though I was told this is my new school, in the back of my head it doesn't feel like one. I wonder if the feeling is real, or caused by my expectations of a school for the disabled. Speaking of that, I don't see anyone else here. It's kinda eerie. It makes me wish there was someone here so I could anchor myself to something tangible instead of having this feeling that I stepped into another dimension. The trees hum with the wind and the green hues flashing all around me catch my attention. It makes me think about hospitals again, how they say that the operating rooms are painted green because green is a calming colour. So why am I feeling so anxious despite all this greenery? Only after I stand in front of the haunting main building, I surprise myself by realising why the gate bothered me. It was the last chance I had to turn back, even if I had no life I could return to. But still, after entering, there was absolutely nowhere I could go back anymore. Feeling nervous, and with this realisation set in my head, I open the front door. A tall man with bad posture notices me as I enter. We're the only people in the lobby, so it's only logical. You must be Nikki? Nakai. So you are. Excellent. I'm your homeroom and science teacher. My name is Muto. Welcome. We exchange a handshake that is neither firm nor sloppy, and he looks at his watch. The head nurse asked you for a brief check-in visit, but there's no time for that now. Oh, should I go later? Yes, afternoon's probably fine. We should get going and introduce you to the rest of the class. They're waiting already. Waiting for me? I don't really like being the centre of attention, but I guess it's inevitable in a situation like this. Somehow, not knowing what's waiting for me makes me feel really nervous. Thinking of this, I almost miss what the teacher is saying. Do you want to introduce yourself to the class? So here's my choice. Why would I want to do that? Why do I have to? Of course not, that's why I asked. Right. Let's go then. My heart is pounding my chest and it keeps me thinking about my condition as I follow the teacher up the stairs. The third floor down the third floor corridor is marked as a classroom for class 3-3. Muto opens the door and enters. Good morning everyone, sorry I'm late again. I hesitate for a split second at the door, freezing on the spot. Get a grip. This is a big step, I know that, but there isn't any point worrying so much about it. At least not this soon. I follow the teacher into the classroom and look around, partially so I won't meet the curious gazes of my new classmates. It's pretty spacious. The ceiling is unusually high and there's lots of space left over around and in between the desks. The entire wall is taken up by blackboards, and the high, old-fashioned windows only make it seem larger. The students' desks are standard wooden desks with a shelf underneath for books and wooden chairs with metal frames. Simple and efficient. I stop walking in front of the classroom and face the other students. They all look normal, like students in any other school. But then, why would they be here? They're probably like me and there's something wrong with them, only it's just not immediately obvious. Then I noticed that one of the girls seemed to be missing the thumb of their right hand. It's a little jarring. Despite the natural tendency to listen when someone's talking to you, I tune out the teacher's speech halfway through while he introduces me to the class. I notice a flash of dark hair and see that someone is looking at me. A girl with really long, straight hair that's pretty eye-catching. As she sees me look back at her, she covers her face with her hands as if it will make her invisible. There's one boy with a cane leaning against the lockers at the rear of the class. It's weird seeing someone so young with a cane. Another girl seems to be making some weird hand motions. Sign language? She peers at me over the rims of her glasses, then goes back to whatever she's doing. She's kind of cute. So is a cheery looking girl with pink hair sitting next to her. She's really hard to miss. I don't know how I didn't notice at the moment I walked in. Please welcome our newest classmate. He claps his hands, and so does everyone else, except one girl in the first row who has only one hand. I cringe a little, but hide it by bowing in thanks for this applause I did not deserve. After the applause, there is a brief silence and no one seems to be wanting to be responsible for breaking. The teacher soon realizes that he should probably say something. He opens with some unintelligible noise, shuts up as he loses momentum, then starts introducing me. Nobody seems to be too interested. Maybe I should have said yes to the self-introduction thing. Probably realizing he doesn't know anything about me. He just ends up saying my name wrong again and asks me to write it on the blackboard. I do that and turn to face the class, feeling awkward. I listen to the teacher as he drones on about getting along while letting my gaze sweep across the classroom. Everyone seems to be listening to him intently, and when he's done, they clap their hands again, which feels like a weird thing to do. The front row girl claps on this round, with her one hand against her other wrist that ends in a bandaged dump. Makes me feel a little bad. Going to be doing some group work today, so that'll give you a chance to talk with everyone. Is that okay with you? Yes, fine by me. That's good. You can work with Hakamichi. She's the class representative. She can explain everything you might want to know, and who else would be able to do that better, right? How could I know? The teacher passes out the day's assignments and announces we'll be working in groups of 3. It hits me hard that I don't know who Hakamichi is. Slow. The teacher seems to catch my helpless expression. Oh right, Hakamichi's right there. Shizune Hakamichi. As he calls out her name, the cute bubbly looking girl with bright pink hair and gold eyes waves her hand at me. I take a seat next to her by the window. Hey, I guess you're Hakamichi, right? It's nice to meet you. Oh, ha ha ha! What? I'm caught off guard by her laughter. It's nice to meet you too, but I'm not Hakamichi, I'm Misha. This is Hakamichi. Si-chan! Giggling, Misha points to the girl next to her, the one I saw using sign language before. Looks like she's been staring at me this whole time. She nods once nonchalantly to show that she acknowledges my presence, but only barely. She has short, yet carefully neatly brushed hair, a pair of oval-shaped glasses balanced on the tip of a dainty nose, the dark blue eyes that seem to alternate every few seconds between analytical and slightly bored. It's nice to meet you. She immediately looks at Misha, who smiles and makes a few quick gestures with her hands. Hakamichi nods and makes a few gestures of her own. I'm starting to wonder if the teacher was messing with me, saying things like, you'll be able to talk to people, and who better to explain things to you. I can see you're a little confused, right? Right? But I understand why you think I was Si-chan. Si-chan is deaf, so I'm the person who translates things backwards and forwards for her. I'm like an interpreter. She says it's nice to meet you too. You're the new student, aren't you? Well, Si-chan, of course he is. If he wasn't, he wouldn't have been standing out there for no reason, right? Right! Misha looks at me with a weird expression, then continues. We don't know much about him, but maybe we'll find out later. Maybe I should have introduced myself after all. Anything would have given a better first impression than the teacher's drone and fumbling with my name. We knew there was going to be a new student, but we didn't know you would be here today so soon, Hichan, right? Hichan? Yep, it fits, don't it? Did I say it out loud? It's just a surprise. I never liked that name. I don't really see how. It fits. You look just like I imagined. Ha ha ha! Yep, you look just like a Hichan. I wonder why everyone seems to think so.
Hakamichi taps her fingers on the desk to get Misha's attention. They gesture back and forth to each other excitedly, their hands a blur. Misha seems a little bit overwhelmed. Sorry about that. T-chan wants you to know that she's a class rep, so if there's anything you need to know, you can feel free to ask her. Do you like the school so far? We can show you around a little if you haven't had the time to walk around and familiarise yourself with it. Misha stumbles with a hard word a bit, making it stick out in an otherwise fluid translation. Thanks, that'll be pretty helpful. Yeah, I just kinda came straight to class today. Ha 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 ha! That's no good. You should always try to learn as much as you can about where you're going before you go there. Not just with school either. Always, even if it's a trip to a convenience store. Right, Shi-chan? Ha ha ha! Learn about where you're going? I guess it... Dogs! Dogs! Shut up! I guess it didn't bother to do that, or just didn't care enough to do so. I didn't look forward to this, even if I had committed myself to go along with it half-assedly, but anyway. Shut up! I don't say anything, and Misha shines something that ends in a shrug. What was that? Seems like it was about me. I feel like slumping over in my seat. Both of them are smiling, but that shrug hit me unexpectedly deeply. Look down. You okay? Don't take it the wrong way, please. I hate it when people are afraid to ask questions. That's how people learn things, by asking. Asking for help is perfectly normal, as much as needing help. Stop looking like you just failed a test. Wahahaha! Alright. Uh-huh. And another thing, you don't have to call C-chan something that formal like Hakamichi or class rep all the time. Just call her C-chan. Ah, okay, maybe that's too casual. Maybe Shizune would be more appropriate. Yep, Shizune's fine. Okay, that'll be a lot easier for me. I feel a lot more at ease. Both of them seem so friendly, so I feel like an idiot for being so apprehensive earlier. Especially about Shizune, who I'd assume would be all business. Well, she still seems like that, just less so, I guess. Huh? Alright, we haven't even touched the assignment. We should start to work now, or C-chan will get mad. The assignment's also kind of long, so we should start now if we want to finish it before the end of class. Wahaha! That's two! Shizune glares at the two of us impatiently. I don't need to know sign language to understand that. Okay, I get the message. After class, we can take a walk around the grounds later. It's a nice day today. Okay! The assignment is actually very challenging to get through, combining aspects of being both difficult and unnecessarily long. Still, we finish it a few minutes later, earlier than anyone else in the class, despite our late start. Shizune and Misha are really capable. They're quite different, though. The class rep is as calm and professional as she looks, while Misha is a lot more playful and girlish. Not to mention a little more easily distracted. To be honest, the two of them did most of the work. I feel guilty about that. The clock tower bell rings, signalling the end of the period. Time for lunch. Without knowing what else I do, I follow Misha, who is beckoning me into a hallway and down the stairs. We descend even below the lobby where I met Muto, down to the bottom floor. Just like everything else in this school, the cafeteria seems too spacious and oddly modern in contrast to the classy exterior. Its big windows open to the courtyard beyond the main gate. It's the cafeteria! Her enthusiastic statement of the obvious makes people around us stare, but Misha doesn't seem to care, so we proceed to the line. It's a rather long list of menu options, which seem great until I realise that many of them are to accommodate students who need special diets. How nice! It almost feels like I'm back in the hospital eating portions measured with a scientific precision to meet the needs of the patients. I pick something at random and follow Shizune to a table, sitting opposite her. That's where we're going to end it here, guys. So, this was the first episode of me doing some Katawa Shoujo, to be uploaded immediately. Sorry about my recent upload schedule. Stuff's been happening. Been ill. Matthew's been ill for PokeMMO, birthdays, not Christmases, Halloween, big parties, stuff like that. Thank you all for watching. I shall see you next time. Take care.